Balatro, released February of 2024. Available on all modern consoles, PCs, and cell phones. Retailing for $9.99 on cell phones, and $14.99 everywhere else. Balatro is a game where you make poker hands of up to 5 cards. Each poker hand has a set value and multiplier. Each card has a set value added to the hand's value. Of course, that is oversimplifying things to an insane degree. This is a deck-building roguelite in a very literal sense, and there are many different decks to start playing with, all of which affect the game in some way. Most of them have a traditional 52 cards, but there are some that are missing particular cards, such as having no face cards to begin with. Other decks might increase the number of discards you have, or affect how you get money, and will lead to very different experiences when you use them. And each of these decks has various levels of difficulty. The conditions for the difficulties are always the same, no matter the deck, but not all decks are equally prepared to deal with every condition. Beyond that, by default you can have 2 consumable cards, and 5 jokers to affect things. There are of course ways to both increase and decrease the number of consumables and jokers. Consumables come in several forms. Planet cards, which increase the value of different hands. Tarot cards, which can affect a set number of playing cards in a number of ways, such as giving them bonus points or multiplier, changing their suit, or even destroy cards. Lastly, and most rarely, you have spectral cards. These are like tarot cards, but with much bigger effects. They might destroy one random card, but replace it with several others, upgrade all of your hand's values, randomly generate cards, including the Joker cards, and in general, using them is kind of a risk versus reward situation. And last, we have the 5 Joker slots. And there are jokers that affect literally every aspect of this game. Some add to the value of cards, or add multipliers. Some multiply the multipliers. Those are valuable. Some affect how you earn money, or will make different consumable cards appear under the right conditions. There is a total of 150 different jokers. You have to unlock them in various ways. The game will tell you exactly how you unlock different jokers, but sometimes the conditions are simply ridiculous, like having to discard a royal flush. But all of this will affect every round and every ante, and each ante is broken up into 3 blinds, each of these requiring progressively bigger scores in order to progress. You'll do a small blind, and then a big blind, and finally a boss blind. The big and small simply require you to have a set number of chips scored. The boss blind will have some kind of condition associated with it. It might devalue all the cards of a given suit, not allow you to repeat hand types, or force you to use only one hand type, and a dozen other things, all of which are intended to make things harder for you, hence the name Boss Blind. But the good news is, between each of the blinds, you get to go to the shop. Here, you can buy jokers and consumable cards, or just add cards to your deck. As you aren't forced to have only 52, you can have as many cards as you want. By default, there will be 2 things to buy. They could be jokers, consumable cards, what have you. There will also, by default, be 2 packs you can buy. The packs are a specific kind of cards. Standard playing cards, jokers, planets, tarot, etc. And you get to pick one of those cards to keep. And sometimes 2 if it's a mega pack. And if there's nothing you want in the pack you just paid for, you can skip and not take anything. And I referenced money earlier. Obviously this shop is where you spend it. By default, each blind gives you a certain amount of money, and any hands you had left to play give you bonus money by default. And if you have a lot of money on you, you actually earn interest, and thus more money. But early on, you'll probably want to save your money, as the more useful something is, generally speaking, the more expensive it's going to be. And if you're really desperate for help, you can do rerolls of the shop to see if you'll get something that'll help you. But like everything else here, it's kind of a gamble. Noticing a theme yet? There's one other item that's available in the shop, and that is a voucher. The voucher only changes after a boss blind is defeated, and vouchers will make a change to the current run. They might give you an extra hand or discard to play, make everything in the shop cheaper for the rest of the run, make certain items more likely to show up in the shop. Vouchers are relatively expensive, but they are usually worth it. But at the end of the day, all of this is just in service of this being a game where you make poker hands. Making a high card hand is worth the least. A royal flush is worth the most. But what makes this different from a usual poker simulator is how you can actually manipulate your deck. As, with a little luck, you could make your entire deck one suit, guaranteeing a flush every single round. Or you could manipulate your deck to have a lot of gimmick cards in it. Steel and gold cards both have effects that take place as long as those cards are in your hand and not actually played. Or you could go about destroying a lot of cards in your deck, making it so there's only particular hands you're even able to create. And everyone who plays will have their own strategy for how they will win. And much like in real life when you play poker, not all of these plans will work. So is Balatro worth your time and money? Well, there is a certain thrill to discarding some cards and then getting just what you need for that perfect hand. And that feeling keeps you coming back to this game, as it is a $15 game, which is cheaper than the vast majority of games on the market, and I've also played over 100 hours of it in the last week. So yes, it's impossible for me to say that Balatro is not worth the $15 they're asking for it. And while it seems simple on the surface that you're simply making different poker hands, the different conditions that the decks and difficulty levels give you make you change entirely how you play. And it's also amazing how much the right joker in your possession can completely change how you're doing in the game. I've had runs where I thought they were going to end on the second ante, and then just the right joker came into the shop, and suddenly I was on easy street until ante 7 or 8. And then there's a certain point you get to in the game where you start being able to unlock having extra jokers and all kinds of other bizarre things happen. And you get to a point where just playing a single pair somehow gets you 100,000 chips. But because there's so many variables at play, you can never go in with a guarantee something like that's going to happen. Because this is a game built around a deck of cards, and random chance is always a huge element. Which is exactly why Balatro is worth your time and money. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.